split between the two locations. But I spend a lot of time here. You can ask me anything about Tableau prep. I usually spend most of my time working on data sources. And I don't get to do as much cool dashboard stuff as I used to do because I'm doing more data source things these days.
You tell me this before.
It's we used to, at our old office, we actually had we printed out a prep flow and we stuck it on the wall. Like it was like a 8 feet by 12 feet prep flow on the wall. And it was so cool, but we moved our office and now we don't have a prep flow anymore, so it's kind of sad. But and in spare time, I play with vintage electronics. I spend lots of money on Japanese auction sites buying stuff that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. And so that's me. We have two presenters with us here today. So Miras is Director of Data Science. Spell check at Houston Independent School District. He's also a Tableau ambassador. So recognized as Tableau ambassador. And then our second speaker is going to be Southard Jones, who is Tableau's Chief Product Officer. So we're very lucky to have him here today to speak.
Hey Fraser, sorry. The online people, they're asking if you can move the laptop closer so we can hear you a little bit better.
Well, I could move closer to the camera like this.
Yeah, that works.
I had it on that one, yeah. I'm trying to learn super technology today. Okay, I will speak up louder too. So Southard has a very wide background in product and working with products. So we're very lucky to have him be leading as Tableau's Chief Product Officer. And then we won't hold it against him, but before he worked on CRM analytics, the lesser of the two analytics tools. But that's a discussion for beers, maybe. So those are our two speakers today. We want to take this time and do some introductions. I don't know if we'll do this for all the online people, but for the people that are in the room, if you want to just give us a very quick, who you are and maybe a bit about your company or your role, just a couple sentences to introduce yourself. So please go ahead.
So my name is Ligia. I work for a irrigation company called Mathematics, and I am a data analyst, and I actually introduced Tableau to my organization.
Great.
Happy to be here.
Brad, I work for a CBRE commercial real estate company. Exxon is currently my client, so we do all sorts of different real estate work for them around the globe. I do a lot of financial reporting, operations type of dashboarding.
Hi, my name is Daniel. I'm currently looking for opportunities. I previous was IT product manager, but I want to move more to the data analytics side of things, so that's why I'm interested in Tableau, I mean people in this space.
I'm Eric Livingston. I work for Salesforce on Tableau. I actually work for Southard. I've been working with the company for 6 years, and most of my stuff's around security, and so licensing and identity and things like that, or authorization, that type of stuff. So my team does. But then also, I'm just driving down for the day.
Thank you for driving down to Boston.
Hey, Jordan Jones, work with Onware. I'm with Greg Fraser. I am new to the team, business development, more on the Salesforce side rather than Tableau. So don't X me out, but happy to be here. Happy to have you guys as well. Thank you for that.
He means Salesforce side because he's got Ranger status.
Okay.
They sent him the hat in the mail, I think, right?
Admin.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Hey everyone, my name is Michael Aldridge. I work for a company called CyberArk. We're an identity security company, and I manage the sales and marketing analytics for that team, the go-to-market analytics group.
My name is Samson Messiama, and I work with Tableau Media and Marketing, and I'm a senior data developer.
Great. So we'll skip the guys online. Sorry, online guys. Come and join us next time. We've got a nice location here. There's free parking in the mall. And we're gonna switch over to, what are we switching over to? We're gonna switch over to Miras. So can you share your screen?
Let's try it.
Okay.
All right.
I have to switch my screen.
All right, that looks good.
Click on that button. There we go. So we can see it. You guys can see it online, okay?
Yep.
All right, so.
Can you hear okay, or
sound
Yep,
okay?
we can hear fine.
tell us if the sound is not good?
All right, so for my part of presentation, I just want to give you a quick overview of the powerful Tableau prep. So obviously, I'm not going to be able to show you everything, but these are the few things that I thought it would be useful to share with the people. So as you can see in the Tableau workbook that I have 5-6 different flows for you, and I'm going to actually show you all these steps to clean and transform data live. So if I mess up on anything, forgive me, because I'm going to do everything live. So the first data set that I'm going to work with is actually going to be a data set that we're going to use for the Tableau community project called EduVisors. And this data set is going to be released for the December challenge, and it's going to be about rate of students that they're out of school for 202 countries. So if you look at this data set real quick, there's nothing wrong from columns A through F, but we've all seen those data sets that they have headers and subheaders. So if you import this in any prepping tools, you're not going to be able to, the prepping tool is not going to like any of these subheaders. So what is the solution to that? So let's go and actually bring this data set real quick to Tableau Prep. So this data set is in Excel, and the first thing that you notice is in my input step, I have so many columns with proper name, but I have some columns that Tableau Prep was not able to pick up. How do I fix this? The only thing that I need to go and do is to click on the magic button. And all I have to do is click on Clean with Data Interpreter. And thanks to Tableau Prep Devs, this is all you need to do. And as you can see, everything was properly brought into Tableau Prep. So that's the magic. And if you notice is Tableau Prep was smart enough to use the header and use the subheader for the column. So I'm going to switch to Tableau Prep, and you're going to see that we're going to have gender female and gender male. Here we go. So this is another view that we have. If I scroll to the right, as you can see, Tableau Prep was able to do that. So that's amazing. Another thing that I really like about Tableau Prep is you have 3 different type of views. You can look at your panes, which gives you information about data type, name of the data, how many unique values do you have, lots of options. But one of the features that I really, really like is immediately you're going to see if you have any null values in your data set. And I think this is powerful. Comparing this, for example, to R, we actually need to write 1 line of code to be able to see the null values. So this is powerful. Another feature that I really, really like about Tableau Prep is that you can actually preview your data in Tableau Desktop before and after cleaning. So I'm going to focus on one of the columns called country here. We have 203 values. I also have this little recommendation from Tableau Prep that is telling me, hey, you can actually go in and change the data role to country and region. But I just want to show you this amazing feature of Tableau Prep to preview in Tableau Desktop. So what's going to happen is you can actually see how the data looks like in Tableau before transformation. So if I go and click on country, and I'm going to switch the marks to, I better look at my laptop. If I look at the marks and change them to map,
So as you can see immediately on the bottom right, I have a warning that says one unknown. I can obviously go and do this within Tableau, but what if you have a lot of things going on? So I can just go and fix this and get rid of this, but I'm going to do that in Tableau Prep real quick, and then we're going to see preview in Tableau Desktop after the cleaning. So why am I showing you this? Because once you switch, so right now column country has a string as a data role. Once I go and change the data role from to geographic and to country, Tableau Prep immediately warns me about.
Counting.
Oh, I did counting. Thank you.
That's like.
So if I change it to country, then most of them looks good, but if you scroll down, you see some that they're giving me warning. I don't even need to scroll. I'm just going to click on more options, and I'm going to go and say show values only, not valid. And I can just quickly go and get rid of the. I cannot talk and type at the same time, obviously. So if I go and change these real quick, bear with me for a second. This was the only one that Tableau didn't like, but I just don't like to use all those parentheses because when if I want to use these in my tooltip, I don't want all this information to show up in my tooltip. And they're not a lot, so I'm just going to go and get rid of some of these real quick. And the last one we have Venezuela. So let's go and get rid of this. Obviously, you can use some cleaning options to get rid of that. I don't have anything not valid. So remember that we previewed in desktop before the cleaning. Now I'm going to go right click on any of the cleaning steps, preview in Tableau Desktop. It's going to take seconds to load. And here we go. I'm going to do country. Again, I'm going to switch it to map. And as you can see, I don't have any warning for, so Tableau was able to recognize everything. Just going to right click on this and do show highlighter. The only one that didn't like was Kosovo. So I'm going to highlight this. As you can see, Tableau was able to recognize that. So I like to do all those things in prep because of performance. So obviously, when you clean a lot of things in prep, it's going to be easier to do things in Tableau Desktop. So the second flow and data set that we're going to work on, obviously, again, is going to be from EduVisor. So I actually co-lead that community project. And the data set that I'm going to use is about data analytics program in the US that this was an August EduVisors challenge that community leader Kevin Wee was able to actually receive a vote of the day for that. So before we actually go and look at the data set, I would like to invite everyone to create a Tableau public account for them. This is a great opportunity to create your portfolio. And one of the last visualization that I liked was Kevin Wee's vote of the day. The data set that I proposed we released for EduVisors Challenge, Kevin Wee was able to create this awesome visualization demonstrating all data analytics program within the US. And obviously, this is Houston Talk, so we have great University of Houston downtown that I was graduated with master's degree from this program. So what I'm going to show you is we are going to go and try to recreate this map real quick in Tableau, but before that, we need some cleaning. So I reduced the columns from this data set because I don't want to show all of them, but the most important thing, obviously, for creating the map is going to be some sort of spatial data. The only column that was available in that data set was the address data set, but the problem right now, at least for now, I know Tableau is going to release this feature later on, and we're so excited about it. But as of right now, you cannot graph directly from address. So we need to break it down to the biggest one is, I think, country, and then you go down to zip code. So I'm going to show you how powerful Tableau Prep is to break everything down. And we're going to break this down to street address, city, state, and then zip code. So all you have to do that 3 dots. You don't need to do any coding. So all you have to do, go to split values. I'm going to use a custom split. And as you can see, my values are separated by comma. So I'm going to click on comma as my separator. And since I want to keep everything, all this information, I'm going to split off by all. So then that's going to give me 3 different ones. So if you look at the first instance here, I have my street address, I have my city, I have my state. We're going to talk about a little bit more cleaning needs to be done for the state, but let's just go and change the first column to street address. That's done. And then second one is city. Obviously, I can now go and change this geocode to city. All right, so that's done. Now, if we go and look at the last part, that is the state. Remember, I tried to create that. I'm trying to create that map real quick. The problem with this is I cannot go and split by space. The issue for that is, for example, if you look at District of Columbia, if I split by space, then I'm not going to get what I really want. So what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to show you another feature of Tableau Prep. I'm going to go and duplicate this field real quick. And in order to get the first part of this, I'm going to use a different technique. So I'm going to click on the 3 dots again. I'm going to click on clean. And since this column has state and zip code, I'm just going to go and say, I'm looking for a state right now. So go ahead and remove all the numbers for me. It's that quick. What is the other issue that we have? We have some punctuation. We have some dashes. So what do? Go to 3 dots again, click on clean, and now remove the punctuations. Sometimes you also need to go and remove extra spaces. I work with this data set, so I know that I need to do that. So I'm going to go and remove all the extra spaces. And now I'm able to switch this to my, switch the data role to state. That's amazing. So this is all I need to create the state that they're yellow here, right? But I also need a specific zip code for each of those programs. So that means I actually need to go and let me rename this real quick to state. And I'm going to duplicate my address column again. This time we need the zip code. So I'm going to go clean, and this time I'm going to remove the letters. Now, as you can see, there is one extra space here. That's why I invite you to always explore those, and we're going to remove extra spaces here. Now, Tableau doesn't like the extension or the second part of zip codes. I still don't know why. I need to learn, but I know that I need
It's a product.
So that I need to go and remove it, right? So let's not talk about that for now, but I know I need to remove that. So how do I remove that? I'm going to go and use the split feature again, custom. This time I'm going to split on dash, and I'm just going to keep the first part of this. So here we go. Now we have all the zip codes. Now we're going to go to, so I have everything that I need, and I believe all I have to do, change this data role to zip code real quick. Let's actually go and preview this in Tableau Desktop. All right, so all I have to do is click on state. I'm going to change the marks to map. These are all these states in the United States that they offer data analytics program. Again, my goal is to create Kevin Wee's, kind of like that. I'm never going to be able to create something as beautiful as Kevin's, but let's attempt doing this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and do a yellowish color, bring down the opacity a little bit, and now I'm going to go and add the zip codes as another layer. So here we go. We have the zip codes, and I am going to go and add the name to details too. As you can see, I have University of Houston downtown. So this is not related to Tableau Prep, but what we're going to do is we're going to go and attempt bringing another shapefile so we can also get info about those estates, because the user doesn't know if we were not able to have those in or they're missing data. So Kevin B actually used Figma to put a picture behind this, but what I'm gonna do instead, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna bring a special file, and I'm gonna actually bring this to my flow. I don't like them to be connected, so I'm gonna delete what was defaulted, and I'm just gonna create an arbitrary relationship between them, so there are no errors. I'm gonna go back here, and then from my special file, I'm gonna add another layer. So let's go and filter a few of these. Not the best practice, but all right, so I'm gonna exclude these. We're getting closer to what Kevin has. So I'm gonna go down and bring the opacity down. And I think that's good enough for now. So we're able to create Kevin's, very similar to what Kevin has. So this is how you can actually use Tableau Prep to make your life easier. And we're able to use the address column to create something like this. How much time do I have? Okay. All right, just let me know.
Okay.
So, all right. So we were able to go through 2 flows. Now, the other flow that I'm going to work on is from another community college, Tableau community project called Prepping Data, which is all about prepping, transforming data. So what I'm going to go and show you first is, so this is step 3. So sometimes you have a lot of files that you need to import, right? And we don't want to overcrowd the flow by bringing all those things at the same time. So that's not going to be really good. So what I would like to do is I need to bring all these files into my flow. Think about these as different years, right? So year 1, year 2 through year 11. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to use a union step in the input step. But notice that I have some other files in this folder that I'm not going to be using. So let's go and see if we can do this. So what I need to do, I need to import my first file. So you need to go to that folder. And you need to just pick one of those files that you want to bring. So I'm going to click on mock data 1. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually go to my table, and I'm going to tell Tableau Prep that instead of single table, I want to union multiple tables. But as you can see on the bottom, Tableau Prep also brought other files that I don't really need, because what I'm telling Tableau Prep right now is search within this folder. So Tableau Prep brought every file that was in that folder. So I'm actually going to use this powerful feature that I'm going to add a file filter that I'm going to tell Tableau Prep to, you know what, I am going to only be needing the files that start with mock. So I'm going to type the name MOCK, and I don't need to do anything else. So I'm just going to use an asterisk and telling Tableau Prep, I don't care about the rest of the file name as long as they have MOCK in them. And then I'm going to click on enter. Notice that we had 14 files originally, now it's 11, and I have everything that I need in here. So now all I have to do is just go and start my cleaning process. All right, so all right, give me a second. Let me see what I wrote here real quick. All right, so when you do a union in Tableau Prep, let me see if I was able to do the union or not real quick. Go back. Looks like I didn't click on something, so I'm going to go back and click on MOCK again. I'm going to do asterisk, enter. I have my 11, and somehow I am not seeing the apply part on the bottom. I'm not sure if this is, here we go, okay. The thing was blocking. So I'm gonna click on apply, and I have my 11, notice that the icon changed. Now I have all my 11 files, and one powerful thing again about Tableau Prep is Tableau Prep automatically gives you a new column that is called file path. So if you're using a lot of data sets that they're longitudinal, then this would be your file that you can actually clean it and call it year, and you can use that in your visualization. So I'm going to show you how useful is that column. So I'm going to click on View in Tableau Desktop again. Close. Here we go. And so this is the total amount of purchase price in that file, but I want to break it down. Let's say to the years. So I'm going to use the automatic file that Tableau Prep created, and as easy as that, you can break down your file to different years. All right, so that was the third thing that we wanted to talk about. So next thing that I have is another data set from Prepping Data, Tableau Community Project. And in this step, what we're going to do, this data set is about a survey data, which is about the user experience using the mobile or web version, and they rated different things. So if you look at on the right side, they are rating the mobile version and online version through different fields, ease of use, ease of access, and there's also overall rating. So if I quickly look at the structure of this file, I have one column, 768 unique customers. Of course, you can go and see how many times each customer showed up. As you can see, each of them was just one time. But the thing that I don't like about this, I have so many columns here. And if I want to visualize this in Tableau, I'm not going to be able to break it down. So what you actually need to do, you're going to use another feature of Tableau Prep called Pivot. So what we're going to do is actually, we're going to pivot columns to rows. But I'm going to show you another amazing feature of Tableau Prep, which is using a wildcard search. So all I have to do, I don't even need to drag anything here. All I have to do is type mobile, and notice what happens to all of these columns. I'm going to type mobile, and I'm going to call enter, and then Tableau Prep was able to read all of these. I'm also going to click on plus. This time, I'm going to use the wildcard match again, and then I'm going to click on online. As easy as that, and I was able to reshape and transfer my data. Now, instead of having, how many columns did we have before? 11 columns. I reshape my data, and I have 4 columns only. All right. The other thing that I want to do here, real quick, is get rid of the mobile app here because it doesn't really make sense anymore. So I'm going to go and split. Custom split. I'm going to split on dash, and I'm going to tell Tableau to keep the last section of this file. I was able to clean that. I'm going to go and remove the old column, and let's call this one question category. I'm going to go back to my pivot step, and since this was information about mobile, I'm going to call this mobile rating. And I can call this online rating. Here we go. So this started to looking good. And then the other problem that I have here is I really want to see what was the average user rating for each of these, right? So I'm going to use another feature of Tableau Prep called aggregate. So what we're going to aggregate on is going to be the question categories. And I'm going to aggregate, and so we're going to group by question categories, and then we're going to aggregate by the 2 numerical columns that we have. But as you notice, Tableau automatically picked a sum. I don't want to see the sum of the rating, so I'm going to switch this to average. Look at all the options that you get for your aggregated field. So we're going to click on average. We're going to do another average. And let's go and preview this in Tableau Desktop. So this is a great way to make it easier for users to be able to look at the data. So I have my 5 categories. I have my mobile rating, online rating. Let's switch this to probably a side-by-side visualization. And let's add the labels, and probably we want to go and maybe use 2 decimal places. So now you can actually go and see what happened in terms of people rating about each category, and also if mobile was more popular or online. Should I keep going?
Yeah, so is that it?
Huh?
So, maybe that's all for me.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
You taught me 2 new things. Can you go back to Tableau Desktop?
Yes, of course.
I never knew that button existed.
That's
I always click here. Like, I never hit that button before. And then also the wildcard match on the pivots.
Oh, that's awesome.
We have, because everybody wants to do financial stuff, and they do like a column for every month, and then they go and add a month, and it breaks the pivots. I think that's new.
Can I show you one more thing? 2 minutes?
Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna like
It's good
that.
stuff. We're learning good stuff.
So I'm gonna, so I had 2 more things to explain, but I'm gonna show you the last one that I actually just thought about it when I got here, and I think this is another great feature. We all know about Tableau Superstore data, right? So I was able to bring in Tableau's Superstore data, and the only sheet that I brought in, or only table that I brought in, was orders. And we all know that in Tableau Superstore data, there's a column called region, and we have central, east, south, and west. So the way that this file is structured is you have all the information in one sheet. Sometimes customers want to see those files separate from each other. They want to see separate CSV files, or sometimes they want to see east, central, south, west in different sheets of an Excel file. So Tableau Prep can do that for you. So what we're going to do actually, we're going to, and this is a not super new, but they recently added this create a parameter feature. So I'm going to just show you real quick how easy is this going to be. So I'm going to call my parameter, I'm going to call it p.region. So this is my parameter, and this is going to be a quick list. So the only downside about this is you need to actually type in the values. We don't have that feature of importing, but you know what? This is going to work for now. So I'm going to start with typing all the values that exist in region. So we have central, we have east, we have south, and then we have west. So I created my parameter. And then in my next step, so if you're familiar with Tableau, you're going to create your parameter, you're going to use it, and you're going to show it. So I'm going to go to use it. I'm going to look for my region, click on 3 dots, then I'm going to filter my flow using that parameter. And all you have to do is to say, I want the region to be whatever is the region parameter. This is all you have to do. Now, as you can see, because I picked central, the default value was central, my data was already filtered for central only. So now let's talk about outputting this. So you're going to go to your output step. My goal is to create one Excel file with 4 different sheets, one sheet for each region. So what you're going to do, actually, let's go and change the output to an Excel file. And I'm going to browse and find my output folder real quick. I'm going to delete my practice file real quick. Superstore sounds good. So the name of my Excel file is going to be Superstore, but I'm going to tell Tableau that the worksheet name, I'm actually going to use a parameter, so I don't need to type anything. So I'm going to tell Tableau, use the parameter for naming the sheets, and I'm going to say, just create a new table. So let's see if this works. So I'm going to go and click on output, and it's going to ask me which parameter should I put it on. I'm going to say central, and I'm going to run it. Here we go. And then I'm going to click on it again, and I'm going to click on east. So not only are we automatically naming those sheets, but we're filtering the data too. So we're going to go to south and run, replace. And last one is going to be west and run and replace. All right, let's go back and see if we were able to successfully do this. As you can see, we have one Excel file only. We're going to open it. Hopefully this worked. We'll see. All right, I think I opened it 2 times. So as you can see, we have 4 tabs, central, east, and south. Let's just check one of them. So on west, I should be only able to see west, and Control Shift go, and as you can see, we have west only. All right, thank you all so much.
Great. Thank you.
Excellent.
All right. So I'm going to mute myself and we'll use your microphone.
All right.
Yeah. I'm gonna...
We can't hear anything online.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yep, you're good.
Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, we just had a little echo. I have some stuff I want to prepare, but thank you. That was an awesome presentation. I have a question for the team. This is actually my first Tableau user group, so thank you but not the first time I've been in a session like this. And the previous 2 times in a session like this, someone said, oh, I had this really cool feature, and everybody's like, oh, that's awesome. And one of the great things about Tableau is there's a million cool features. One of the hard things about Tableau is, how do you find out about them? Right? Like you come to sessions like this, maybe you read about them on a blog. And this is going to be a leading question, but what if it was an easier way, what was just shown, and you could like literally type in, I want to transform my sheet into a single sheet with 4 things. Like literally just type it in. And we just did it for you. Is that attractive? Yeah? Like, there's a bunch of stuff when I was watching and I was like, all right, now that you probably couldn't do. But that we could probably allow you to just start saying what you want to do, like in a somewhat natural language. And then we would show you how it's done, actually do it in the product. Does that sound cool? Yes, no? Yeah? We like that?
Not possible.
It's not actually magic. It is the primary area of investment today for us. And that is enabling folks, more people like yourselves and others, to use the power of Tableau, but all of the power of Tableau. There's very few people that can use all the features. There's just so many. It's 25 years ago, I was a power user of Excel. I knew every last, hidden formulas all along the way. But I was like, I could touch like 20% of the capabilities. And I think many people here are power users of Tableau, but you're probably touching 20% of the capabilities. And it's because it's hard to find it. And if you could just say, well, I really want to do this, and we could show you. So that is essentially the name, we're calling it is Einstein Copilot for Tableau. Don't worry, we'll change the name if you don't like it. We change it every year. But I'm half kidding. But
Einstein will stick around.
Einstein will stick around. There'll be a bunch of other stuff afterwards, and maybe we'll put Einstein first or last. But the concept is, if you had a tray on the right where you could start typing it in, and we would do a lot of what you're trying to do for you. It doesn't prevent you from going in and doing it, because you type in, you're like, it's not exactly what I wanted, but now that you showed me how to do it, I can go do exactly what I want to do. So we're putting a lot of investment there, and as we do this, some of the questions we ask ourselves in product is, are we going to alienate people because this is taking some of the power from them in some way? So that's why I wanted to ask, is this good? Do we want to do it? Do not want to do it? I think you want to do it. Yes? All right, well, I'm going to show you a really early version of this. It's a recorded demo because it's on a dev environment, and if I demoed it from a dev environment, it would totally break. You did yours live. I'm not doing it live, but I want to show for the folks online a live version of this. All right. Let's see if I can go to this. I'm going to get to the slides, but watching that was really inspiring. So,
Share screen first.
yeah, I have to go back to. Where's the? Oh, I have to do it from here.
Browser
There.
tab.
Okay.
Yeah, it's-
Share screen. Share tab. This one. All right. Share. All right. Okay. All right. So you guys can see this picture now. I was very quick, but imagine how would you get to that picture if you've never used Tableau before? We brought the data in. So really hard to see, but I'm actually typing into the bottom there. I'll read it from here, so you guys. I won't even read it from here. Show me how to build me a bar chart with whatever. And even if you don't even know how to use marks or tabs or everything, would actually just it's going to take as long because we're actually going through. This is literally going through a gateway to ChatGPT-4. So that's what we're sending. We're sending the language to ChatGPT-4, not your data. We're bringing back is a query, and then we're displaying the result. We didn't do it. What we haven't done in this demo is actually showing the mouses doing the action, which is what we're going to do. So you would see it happening. It's kind of like an instruction on how to get there. You say, oh, well, now I want to add a mark for something else. When you didn't say a mark, I want to change it. And it's really hard to see because it's so small, but I'm typing in natural language down there in that prompt on the right. So that prompt on the right would be here in Tableau Desktop, but also in Prep. In fact, I think there's a pilot coming out in February for formula building with this exact interface, where it's like, I want to create a margin calculation, and it would look like this. And then we would, instead of you writing the script, we would do it. And you'll see as I keep going through this, we just ask, oh yeah. And so that's the other weird thing. That one, if you read it, we didn't say create a line chart in a trellis. We just said, can you analyze like this? And they'll say, oh, a trellis is a good way of doing it. So it's leveraging some of the powers of like show me as, hey, we recommend this path to visualization. Some of you may have seen some previews of this in previous sessions. What I'm showing you now is like literally, it's even not secure, see? It's truly a dev box. You can see in the browser there. But again, if you wanted to use the actual things, you can go up there and click it. What's cool here is, watch it, he grabs that and then he drags that down to that. So you can actually drag the filter that you just applied down to the box and interact. So it's fully interactive, but the thing on the right is really understanding what you're doing on the right. So we're calling it a co-pilot because it's like an assistant. It accelerates your path to where you're going. And if you're working in Tableau, you're like, I really want to do this. And then you're like clicking all over trying to figure out how to do it. Just write it in and it will get as close as we can to getting there. So this is one of the big areas of investment for us today is try and enable folks to leverage the full powers of all that's there. As the funny part of this is, a developer built this because they did a pie chart. Don't know one does pie charts anymore, but we did. Enable folks to use the full power of Tableau. There's, in Tableau, there's 3 or 4 ways to do everything, and sometimes there's another way to do it. So before I jump into the rest of the presentation, I just want some feedback from the folks here. Like, yes, spend more money and energy on this. It seems like a cool feature, but I don't really care. What are your thoughts?
Kind of scary as a developer.
I really don't think this is brand new because it's been around for a while.
Parts of it.
Yeah.
The accuracy of it, the challenge has been, in the past, the accuracy of doing this is not very good. You get people, there's like assistants in lots of products. Did anybody use Clippy? Microsoft Clippy like 10 years ago?
More than 10.
Was it 20 years ago? Sorry, I'm dating myself, maybe 30, okay.
If you remember.
The challenge has been a lot of those products are not very accurate. So people start to use it and it doesn't really help. So they reject it. What is somewhat attractive is we're getting a lot more accurate in our ability to, if you write something in, to get something back that's useful. And I'm glad you said, hey, it's a little bit scary, because then like, does it take away my,
How soon am I gonna be obsolete?
am I gonna be obsolete?
You're not.
So I am really glad you asked the question. Go ahead.
I would say that our role as analysts is gonna shift more where we have to spend more time making our data sets better. Because this stuff won't work if our data set is all cryptic, column names straight from a database. Like, we'll have to do the Tableau prep thing to make a nice, clean data set to allow the model to be able to to be able to understand what's going on in our data sets. So we won't be building bar charts, I would guess. I think we're gonna do more like building data sets and putting that information into the data sets to describe, what it's storing, right?
So, Maris, did I pronounce your name right?
Yes.
So I knew I was going to hear, so I was going to put your name up on the public profile. There's two things I want to say. One is what was just stated in terms of we got to get our data better. That's one thing. The second thing is our expertise, I would argue, isn't in knowing to build a bar chart. Oh, now this thing enables you to get there like 30 seconds faster. We will never, through any sort of ChatGPT, get to any level of this type of stuff. This requires your intelligence. And I'd argue that, do you really like doing comma delimited separations, creating address fields? Is that the favorite part of your job? No? That's what we're gonna help you do faster. This, we cannot. This requires a skill that, in some ways, it's an art. And there's no way you're going to get ChatGPT to generate this. It can't. It requires an understanding and a thought process that can't do. But what we can do is some of those administratively heavy. The prep demonstration was really interesting because I was sitting there and I was kind of almost counting the minutes. We have an address field. So 3 minutes before we could basically get to a state. I'm going, man, really? We can make that a lot faster for you. So you can go build that beautiful visualization instead. You can go create, and then it's well, okay, the business says, hey, that's really great, but what, or your customers say, I want this. Now you can faster iterations so I'd say what it does is instead it emphasizes the strengths of your job and eliminates some of the mundane parts of your job. Eliminates is maybe a strong word. Accelerates the time around the mundane parts of your job. As I was going through public, which by the way, I do all the time. So I just find it inspiring. I found this really cool one. Since we're in a user group, which is celebrating 20 years of Tableau user groups. And just where was it? I was going to go through this one, but I live in New Jersey. So I just took a whole month, a lot of time and work. This stuff is not, there's no way you're going to build this ChatGPT. Hey, ChatGPT, please build, you would probably spend this much time writing the paragraph by the time you could build it, and it probably wouldn't get it right. You're never going to get to that level of interactivity. So it takes an expert to be able to create something that's going to tell a story. However, the data set used to create this probably had some dates in it. And this person probably spent 15 minutes getting those dates to look like that format. And we can help you get there in 30 seconds. So that's a little bit of the direction of where we're going with the product. Trying to enable the team, the folks that are here, to leverage their strengths and not spend as much time on the mundane parts of their job. Then you can do more of these things. So
would you say there's a transition from data scientist, data analyst to thinker, system thinker, strategic thinker? What's the evolution that you're considering?
So I think it's a good question. The word data analyst, in my mind, means doing things like this. Because I think an analyst takes data analyzes it and creates a story that provides either business value or an insight that no one would have seen previously. And that's the power of what this screen does. It tells a story that I wouldn't, if you gave me the file, I couldn't see it. The file is dirty. It needs to be clean. The data is hard, doesn't sit in hierarchies. It's formatted wrong. When I put it in a bar chart, I don't see this. I put it in a pie chart, I don't see this. An analyst says, oh no, I know how to tell a story. So maybe it's data storyteller, maybe it's an analyst, or if you're in business, you're running sales and marketing data, the sales leader doesn't want to see a bunch of bar charts about like, hey, what's my pipeline? They want a story that tells them where they should focus their energy so they can drive more pipeline. That's what they're looking for. ChatGPT is not going to figure that out for you. It requires an analyst. So is it called a strategic thinker? Well, you can call it that. But I would say the analyst's job, it becomes much more driving business value and less time just being a data person, if that makes sense. And I want to say just being a data person, but like how do you connect it to the value that you're trying to show at the end of the day? Like what's so fascinating about Public? Everything here tells a story. That's why we're attracted to it. It's like, oh, I can look at this and I get something I wouldn't, if you could have, the data behind this, I could get at every single person here and you would not tell that story. Well, all of you here probably would because you go to Tableau and you do it, but it wouldn't, look at it plain, you wouldn't. And so what we're trying to do, and Tableau's vision was always to help people see and understand data. That's what we still is. When we say people, that's not just us. That's all the people who consume this. So that is a lot of where we're trying to take Tableau in terms of enabling more people to see and understand data. So I have a question for the group here. How many employees of companies do you think there are globally?
Yeah, well,
And people who have a job in a company. How many globally? Just any business. Anybody who has a job, who gets paid to do a job globally.
4 billion.
Close, 3 billion. Who said that? You nailed it. Exactly. As exact 3 billion is the one significant digit, I guess, but 3 billion of 8 billion people globally. Every single one of them could be using data to do their job better. You say, really? I say, yeah. If you name a job, I could come up with my head right now a way they could probably be using some sort of data, some sort of insight to do the job better. Guess how many of them are using data today?
10 million?
10%, 100 million.
No, less than that.
It's about 100 million.
100.
Yeah, it's about 100 million. That's still pathetic. That's right. It's like less than 1%, right? It's like, oh my gosh, really? Huh? Why? We haven't given them the skills? I don't know. I don't think we've delivered it. I don't think we've delivered insights like this to them in a way they can use it. So our jobs, the folks here who can tell stories with data, who can look at data and turn it into something useful, that's our jobs, to get it out to them. So I think of it, you said, is the data analyst jobs changed? I'm like, well, yeah. Think more about who is not, and all of us work for a company. Who in your company is, guess how many are actually using data on a day-to-day basis? What do you think? 70%? 50%? 20%? Probably less than 30%. That's the average. So how do we get more folks to do that? So what we do, we're trying to get more of these, all of you, but if you all had more time, you could create more stories for more people. How do we give you more time? Less time doing concatenation, less time concatenating and separating files like that, more time creating the NVIS that you got to.
So with this, do you think jobs like data handlers and data engineers, are those going to be more, or the people that they're going to tell story using those jobs are going to be more popular?
I think the data wrangler's jobs continue. People are like, oh, you're gonna take my job. I'm like, no, this is kind of like, so I'll tell you why they think to become more. Who here writes code? Python, Java, all right. So who, you're all probably way too young to remember this. Microsoft.NET came out and they had this thing where they would write code for you. This was like 20 years ago. And everybody's like, oh my God, developers can be out of a job. Guess what? Nothing can write code like a person. You can go to ChatGPT right now and say, hey, write me some code in Python that does this. They can give you something. It's probably 60% good, but it gets past the easy stuff. Does that mean developers are going away because ChatGPT can now write code? No. Does that mean data wranglers are going away because we have generative AI that can help them do their job faster? No, it helps them do their job faster because they're going to be tackling harder problems. More problems will be able to be solved with data, and more people who aren't using data now can get their problem solved. So I think it's less of a like jobs are going to go away. I actually think as they become more accessible, more and more people will do it. So when I went to school, less than 1% of the people went to college majored in computer science. What do you think it is today?
More, but it's not enough.
Still not enough. It's still not enough, yet we're worried about our jobs being gone? I don't think so. I think we still have the opposite problem. And the tools like ChatGPT and like I talked about here, Copilot, are helping the folks who do the job do the, I will say, easy parts of their job faster. So they can do more of the hard parts, or in my opinion, enjoyable parts of our job. So I think this is a direction, like we're all here because we like to create visuals and we like to create things that people like to look at and understand. So we can do more of that. And we're trying to help people get more, do that. So the wranglers, I think the data wranglers and data engineers, how many people here work with like a true data engineer on a daily basis? Someone who's like writing pandas code or using a hardcore data prep tool on a daily basis, yeah. Talk to them and ask them what parts of their job do they love, what parts of their job do they wish they could do less of. And they'll be pretty frank about it. Could you just get rid of some of that other stuff? Yeah, we can. We can help do that so you can do more of the others. Thoughts, reactions? I want to put something out a little controversial just to get people stirred up, but.
So you mentioned that the data wranglers, those people that they're really good at coding, their job's going to be secure, maybe they're going to be more popular. What about the people that, for example, I didn't have any coding background. I got my master's degree in data analytics, and I enjoy the analytics part more than the coding part. So what do you recommend for people like me that their interest is more in the analytics part, the visualization part, compared to the coding?
Yeah, so I think the folks like yourself are going to be able to get closer and closer to business leaders and driving the ability to tell that, who's the primary business leader that you work with today?
Rephrase your question so I can.
Do you work with a head of sales, head of marketing?
So the position that I have, we mainly work for, so I work for Decent IC, and most of the things that we do is, for students, parents, public,
Great.
And mainly reporting to the Office of Academics.
Great. So the office.
Student data,
Yep.
staff data.
Yep. Do you work at all with the folks who do the recruiting of students?
Yeah.
Do they get everything they need from you?
Of course not.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice if you gave them all?
That would be great.
Because we can make you more productive. That's part of the idea. There's probably folks who are in finance who would like to understand if the financial aid packages they're providing are helpful. That's kind of hard to figure out. That's a hard question to answer. It requires someone with a business mind and an analyst mind. Someone says, hey, are we actually doing a good job with financial aid? What do you mean? What do you mean by a good job? That's hard to figure out. How do we evaluate success? Well, there's lots of different ways we can evaluate success. There's lots of different data sets we could use to do that. That would take me a lot of time. Well, what if I could get there faster? What if I could solve more problems like that?
Serve more people.
Serve more people.
I think that's an interesting angle.
It's like, oh, there's a couple people you spend more time with. There's a couple people who wish they could have more of your time.
Yeah.
You'd like to serve more of them, help them solve more of their problems. That's where I see someone who's more of an analyst going, because I think they'll be able to, you're in demand. Everyone here is in demand. Like if you had more time, you would be working with more people and help people solve more problems.
It does appear that actually it's going to be complementary.
Yeah.
The reason I say that is because I don't think that this can put a dashboard together, but it will give you the bare bones, the
Yes.
building blocks.
Yes.
Generate the building blocks faster, and then you can now stitch the dashboard together, which actually tells the story
Yes.
and brings the value.
Yes.
So it's actually
Well,
complementary.
Ask Data is going away, or has it
So-
gone away already?
So Ask Data, just for clarity, the technology, this is a good example of where we were with the technology around. Ask Data's technology was good for its day.
Yeah.
It wasn't accurate enough to drive value. We know, we watched the usage.
Exactly, yeah.
We see it, people tried it, not so much.
It was early days of NLP.
Very early days.
That's right.
And we put it out there and folks tried it and they tried to use it. And to be fair, there's a couple places where, for certain use cases, it kind of works. Where we are today with ChatGPT, for many many's a hard, for a broader set of use cases, it works. For a large set of use cases, it still doesn't work. Like my daughter she's 11 years old. She got on ChatGPT. You know what she does for fun? She fools ChatGPT. She's 11. An 11-year-old can fool it. It clearly doesn't have all the use cases solved. So it will help us, and it's not gonna, it is a long ways from doing a lot. And what I'm excited about is getting Copilot out in the hands of folks like yourselves, because you're gonna come back and you're gonna start using, like, this is great. It didn't do this. It didn't do this. I can picture all the feedback. What about this? How come it failed on this? How come it failed on this? And we'll iterate, we'll try to make it better, but it will solve a larger set of problems than Ask Data, and will not solve all of our problems. But it will, I think you said it right, it will give you a starter point faster, so that you can work with more individuals and solve larger problems. And I think the data wranglers are gonna be able to solve more strategic data wrangling problems. The analysts are gonna be able to solve more strategic business or community challenges or whatever it might be, or analyzing. I think when the war broke out in Palestine and Israel, I went on to public. That's where I got the information. Because you read the stuff in the news and it's like, I don't understand. And let's do it. It's like, if you go here.
Well, you're looking at Southard. I work with Southard. We were talking actually yesterday about this stuff. And it's interesting because you can kind of look at ChatGPT or something like that and say that, I want it to be task oriented. So help me do something, right? Or you can say, show me how to do something. That's a very different thing. So one of them's doing the task first, one of them's doing the person first, the analyst first. And I really like the analyst first. Like, can we just mention, you said you never even used that button.
Yeah.
Well, that's something really easy where you should use this button. Or here's 5 ways to do what you want to do. You just click this thing, do this, or take this approach, think what you're doing. You can solve a problem in multiple ways. Like, I think that's really powerful. It makes the analyst a power user faster. I think that's something I like that personally. So that's the key about it.
There's a lot of research and talk about keeping the human in the loop, right?
Yeah.
And so really creating the human community, with a symbiotic relationship with the AI, you're really guiding. Going back to the whole idea of Copilot and your
Yes.
and that sort of thing. So anyway, it's great to see what you guys are up to.
Yeah, and this, thank you for coming. I mean, this is an example, you could go to a gazillion different websites and you wouldn't necessarily get, first off, it's just data. So I like it, it's factual. It's not like, oh, it's right wing or left wing or whatever the author or the owner of the periodical wants you to write about. It's just straight data. So I can go to Tableau Public and I can get news. The people who are creating these things, what if they could create it for the Ukrainian Russia conflict. We can create lots of different things. It enables us all to get another visibility into a greater, into other data in ways we haven't seen it before. I mean, gosh, look at this. And some of this are sad, and this was a pretty graphic one. I remember looking at this being like, "Gee, that one's hurts," but it tells a story in an emotional way that you're not going to get anywhere else. And ChatGPT cannot do this. This takes skill sets of like the folks that are in this room. And what we want to do is enable people to get there to do more of these faster, so we can get more of it out across a wide variety of topics, and whether it's business or public opinion or nonprofits or fundraising, whatever it might be. Our mission is to enable more and more of that across more and more users.
On the topic of Ask Data, so is the Copilot going to be a strictly developer-facing tool, or would it also be user-facing? Will there, be enhancements on the, just kind of the viewer side of using natural language to get your answers faster?
So the Copilot will be for all roles. Specifically for the viewer side, I'd actually be curious of people's feedback on this. Have you guys who here has seen Tableau Pulse?
Like read about it, but
Read
I don't know
about
a lot
it.
about
Looking at the Tableau conference.
But just the demos, haven't played with it yet.
No. Right.
It's supposed to come soon.
It's
Next month?
Yeah.
This month?
I won't. I mean, I should be careful. We're using it internally today.
You have to put up the forward-looking statement slide.
So I do have that forward-looking statement. Where's my forward-looking statement slide? I started off jumping into the question. I do want to thank everyone here before I jump into the forward-looking statement and talk about Pulse. I will answer your question in a second, but I do want to thank the folks here. As I said before, I've been to this is my first one. I've been to some other situations like this. So I grew up in enterprise software, and my first enterprise software company I worked for was a company called Siebel. Does anyone here remember Siebel? Okay, goes to show. Anyone ever use an Oracle application? Oracle. Yeah. SAP? Does anyone here like using SAP? Tableau is one of the few products that people actually like to use. Few enterprise products. Anyway, enterprise, who here uses Concur? Anyone use Concur for expense reporting?
I did in my last job.
Oh gosh, it might be the worst enterprise software application ever created. But this family, so thank you for being part of the data fam. We love the fact that you like to use our products, and we love your feedback, which is why I'm here, because I want to hear that's why I wanted to ask the topic, do you guys want us to do this or not? Because if you're saying don't do it, we're not going to do it. I want to say thank you for being here. I want to thank you for your engagement, and I'm glad you guys are excited about using the product. We want to keep doing that. That's one of the core things. It's the best part of my job. I get to work. I have my peers who lead product for other enterprise software applications. They're all jealous. They're all jealous of me because they're like, your users like your product. I'm like, yeah. They're like, mine don't. Right? There's a few of them out there that's not true for, but the large majority, a good friend of mine leads Slack. A lot of people like that product. They're happy about that. Salesforce, somebody said that earlier. we're kind of in the middle there. But Tableau knows. Thank you. I want to thank you for that. I have this statement that none of you are going to read, but I'm supposed to show it, which says, maybe it's gone. Anyway, it says that don't pay attention to the things I say that's coming in the future, which basically means I want to talk about the futures, but please don't make a buying decision based on it. So with that, I'm going to do a Figma demo of Pulse because I just have to be careful about what I show that's actually in production. So you asked the question about, will Copilot be something that viewer facing? And I think about the concept of Copilot in a dashboard, and I kind of scratch my head and say, what are we going to say? Someone's going to ask a question of like, how do I filter this? Or like, how do I see better? What I have seen people fall down on dashboards doing, including myself, is it's not answering the question I really have. I get the dashboard, that's great, but it's not answering the question I really have. I'll give you an example actually, and this is probably definitely should not be showing this, but I'm going to show it anyway. It might not let me log in. Probably not gonna. So we launched a product recently. I was going to show you the usage. Every product that we launch, we track monthly active users, monthly active orgs. But what it doesn't tell me is when are people falling out? What are the steps they're taking and then they exit out? Because monthly active users is just like, did you log in? Did you use it? How many clicks did you do? So it doesn't answer the real question I have. So it also doesn't really give me an idea of like, is it doing better than I expected or what I was trying to get done? Or is it just tells me what's happening? So the concept behind Pulse is different. And that is, instead of having a dashboard, we're going to provide users with a metric that's personalized to them. And it's going to tell them how the metric is doing. And it's going to tell them if the metric is doing something that it shouldn't be doing automatically. So it's using statistics. And if you want to call it data science, I call it statistics because it's just good old math. It looks and says, are there anomalies? Is the metric moving up or down or not moving in a way that it should? So, and then we're going to build it in a way that Pulse can be placed where the user is in where you work today, or in the education systems where you're working. Do people spend a lot of time in their dashboards? It's okay to say no. Where do they spend most of their time? Email? Teams? Slack? All of the above? Salesforce? Nah, maybe not. Spreadsheets? Probably. Yeah? What if you could give them the insights where they're working? What if you could put it in Slack? What if you could put it in Teams? What if you could have it in email? Meet them where they're at. So the idea behind Pulse is, let's take a KPI personalized to an individual person or a group of people. If you got a group of sales reps or a group of administrators or a group of recruiters, they're tracking certain metrics. Recruiters might be thinking about applicants filed or offers accepted, and tell them how you're doing. So that's one step. So this is the beginning of Pulse, and the first thing is there's a metric. We're going to tell you where that metric is. Pulse is built on Tableau. If you have metrics in your existing area, you suck them up. Slight difference. These metrics are global, not specific to the workbook. What's the big advantage of that? You don't have 17 different definitions of the same metric. You just have one definition of the metric. Now it still goes and looks at a workbook or a data source. It tells you a little bit about it. And then it tells me that this metric, in this case, I'm a sales rep and I'm selling appliances. It's up 17% this week, and that is unusual. And then it gives me a visualization automatically that shows that it went up. And it should be in this little blue band. And that's a little abnormal. If I was only looking at a dashboard, would I know that? I wouldn't. I would say it went up, that's good. Would I go, wait, 17% is up more than my normal range? Do I need to understand this? Should I be concerned? No, I'm celebrating, I'm gonna go have a drink at the bar. Uh-oh, you just missed something. So, well, why? So the second thing is we're gonna prompt the user with a question. So we're gonna give them, so first off, the system recognizes something is different. And then we're saying, hey, you should be asking this question. you should want to know why it's going up. And we will do some driver analysis behind the scenes. Again, good old-fashioned math. If you took statistics in school, that's like basically linear or multivariate regression to figure out what are the major dimensions or drivers of this change. It's a little bit of calc too, but it's just good math. So you click on that, and what we do is we just basically came up and said, hey, the biggest driver of that change is that there are some products, air fryers has sold a lot more than normal. That's driver analysis. So could you do this with Tableau? Yes, you could. Everybody in this room probably could. Could a head of sales at an appliance company do it? Probably not. He or she might not even ask the question of what's the drivers. But we just prompted them to ask.
They just asked for a table of the like sales by week or whatever,
right,
without any visual piece to
That's
it.
right.
And then they have to go and like look at that table
And try to figure out.
Right,
and that table probably doesn't have the next question in it, which is, if the person is somewhat data curious, this is a Figma, but they could ask, what else should I know? Now that's a pretty broad question. But today's ChatGPT looks in and says, what else should I know can be interpreted as, what are the other metrics or dimensions that are driving this change? And if I hit enter, we can actually show them that there's another metric that's doing something abnormal. This one happens to be inventory, and it's dropping. So the head of sales that had the beer and went to the bar and said, woo, sales is up 17%. He or she just missed the fact that if they do nothing, they're going to stock out. But we did it in a way that relates to the way that perhaps in this case a head of sales thinks. So we're reaching out to that user base in a way that they interact with information. Now this all could be inside of Slack or Teams or email or wherever it might be. You would be interacting in that space. And the idea is, behind the scenes, there's analysts like yourself who are creating the metrics, or making sure the dimensions are all in shape, but you don't have to be on call for this person to call and say, hey, can you send me the spreadsheet, please, of the data by the blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, I'll go do that for you. By the way, you can just log in a Pulse and tell you what you need to know. And so the last part of this is, if I find this interesting, I can share it. I can, if I was, I could send it to my friend Katie, who is in inventory, and it would pop up, in this case, Slack, because Slack is part of the Salesforce family. Obviously, we're gonna do that, but first we'll get to Teams. But here's the other cool part. It actually prompts the person in Slack with a question, and I interact with it inside of Slack. So we didn't paste a PNG, we actually pasted the actual, it's like a container inside of Slack, which actually is essentially Tableau being shown inside of Slack. And now I can ask questions inside of Slack. Obviously, you could get an email to, and the Salesforce person just walked out of the, but it would obviously appear great inside of Salesforce. So your point about, hey, would you put Copilot in a dashboard, which, by the way, we could, if we think it was useful. We were trying to think differently about what's the experience it is to get people to actually go in and use their dashboards. So this is in pilot now inside of our org, inside a few orgs, and should be out in public now, and we're not going to be charging for it. So all of your reviewers and explorers and creators will get it.
I was going to ask a question. What's going to drive this? Are the visuals already built?
The visuals, these visuals, and this, I'd be really curious you guys hear it. These are automatic. You don't have to code them yourself. I fully expect that this community is going to come back and be like, those visuals aren't very good. I can create better ones. So that's what I can't wait to hear. I can't wait to hear the feedback.
It's going to be similar to like how we set up a metric though. You have to go to like a dashboard and say, I'm interested in this thing.
So this group here will be likely creating the metrics based off workbooks you already have.
Yeah.
And there is let's see if I can blow through this quickly and show you what it would look like to create a metric. This is obviously a quick demo here, but short answer is this group here will be the ones creating the metric, and we have a, I can't fast forward through it. Anyway, I'll find it. But anyway, there's a UI that allows you to create a metric. It is a different UI because of the fact that this metric layer is one level above your current metrics are stored in a workflow, right? So you create one, and your friend who's 7 desks down in a different workbook creates the same metric, and no one knows unless you talk to him or her. That's one of the challenges today. So we would like to create a metric that's global, but it goes off of the same data sets we have today. And these visuals right now are what you see. I suspect people are gonna come back and say, hey, I want different visuals, and I'm gonna say, great, what would you like to create? The way we built it is you want to put in different visuals, you can put in different visuals. Right now we're shipping them with these to get feedback. But the idea is that those visuals will likely change based on what you're trying to do.
Could your co-pilot take an existing dashboard and suggest ways that you could make it like faster?
Performance-wise.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm gonna stop sharing so I.
Thank you so much.
Yes, very nice to meet you. Yeah, no worries. Thanks for coming. I'm gonna, hold on, stop sharing. It's a great question. It's one of the things we're looking at. I'm pausing because I asked a different question. So there's 2 ways what we thought a lot about is essentially that, but this is gonna sound funny, but like, as you're building the dashboard, actually suggesting the right ways to do it so that you don't have a slow running dashboard. Obviously we could do the opposite, but the opposite is a diagnostic. As you're building it is more proactive. Like, hey, you just added this visual to this dashboard. It's got 70 embedded queries. Do you really want to do that? It's probably going to take like 30 seconds for it to come back. You might want to do this one instead. Here's a different way of writing your queries. That's what we're thinking about doing. The only reason why I say it's slightly different is because as you're building it, we can see that. But if it's a diagnostic, it's like running a pen test against your existing dashboards. Yeah. But for those who have a lot of dashboards out there, they're like, hey, can you please run these tests against it? It's like, okay. I'd rather get, as you're building it, but is one better than the other for you?
I guess I'm thinking like, we've built a lot of dashboards, right? And so it would be useful
to know
for that. Obviously, it's super useful on go forward as well, but we don't want to rebuild the stuff that we've already done just to go through that,
But that's interesting you mentioned that. So if we came back and said, hey, here's suggestions how to make it better, you have to go back and rebuild it. Do you want to know that? That's like,
I guess it depends on what the suggestion is.
So, can you tell it suggestions on how to do a lot of work? Sorry.
Well, there was like one of the first Tableau conferences I went to. The guy was like, it was a presentation on like speed in Tableau. And like his little catchphrase was like 8 is great. So if you're less than 8 seconds, you're doing good. Right, but then you get like beyond that, like waiting for a dashboard to load, you're starting to like lose your audience, right?
Yeah. It's interesting. He said 8. I'd say.
I think because it's rhymed, but.
I think.
I was gonna say now it's quicker.
Yeah, I think we're all on whatever social media thing you use, and with instant gratification, if you're like 3 to 5 seconds, is about all you get before people are like, no, I'm out. I'm done. I'm not waiting any longer. I think there's a greater impatience. There's a huge thread that I've been ignoring in the chat. I hope these aren't.
Is there questions, Desiree, that we have to answer?
I had a question.
Right now.
So, sorry about that.
Okay.
So I work for the medical industry and I work as an AI engineer. I was wondering, do you have any use cases in specific in which we could help the medical industry?
When you say medical industry, do you mean medical device manufacturer? Do you mean healthcare provider?
The genetics team over there.
I'm sorry?
I work for the genomics team, so
I
work with a lot of patient data in specific.
So, you're asking for are we developing capabilities that would help that specific use case?
Yes.
Um,
Biopharma industry.
I'm sorry?
Like the biopharma. industry.
Biopharma industry.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I'll pause by saying, traditionally Tableau has tried to build horizontal capabilities and empower people to figure out how to use it in the different use cases. And that's been something as like part of the founding thought, which is we are not going to be biased in one use case or another. We're going to try to develop as generic capability as possible, and then allow others to do it. Now, with that being said, the way software gets developed in most places is you create what's called a job to be done, and you pick a persona. You say, hey, there's this person, they're a data analyst, and their job is to analyze data. Well, that's too generic. We need something we can actually build something to, so we try to pick some use cases. I'd say that are any of our use cases specific to someone doing analysis of human genome data? Probably not. It's pretty specific. We try to go a little bit higher level. With that being said, some of the use cases we do look at are people who are trying to analyze what we call our insanely large data, or really, really, really massive amounts of data, which I imagine is a challenge within the genomics industry. And so there are some things we're doing which are probably longer term that will address, well, I'll ask it differently. When you're using Tableau, do you run into challenges with really large data sets? Yes. So that's recognition we have. Part of our roadmap is to make some fairly big changes to the data backend to enable you to handle much, much larger data sets. And I won't get overly specific, but today, we have TDS files and we have extracts and then we have live query.
Is this the same for Tableau Prep 2?
For Tableau Prep 2 as well, yes.
Data cloud.
Yeah. So essentially, provide a way for you to have a backend that's a full-blown lakehouse, like a modern lakehouse, which is probably where your data already is for that size of data. So you'd be able to, but make the queries to those lakehouses really fast, but also provide a lakehouse that's native to Tableau that you'd be allowed to now I want to analyze something with 1 billion records. Okay, go for it. Now, is it going to be as fast as analyzing something with 1,000 records? No. But would you have the ability to do it? And would we do some things to speed up queries for really large data sets? Yes. And that there's a lot of investment going into that to enable what I'll say very, very large data use cases. So it's not specific to human genome, but it is the concept that there's other use cases like that where people are analyzing just massive volumes of data. And today they have limitations within Tableau.
So the pulse which you were showing up here, it's a pretty interesting feature. I mean, I never knew about it. I was wondering, is it specific to a company, the company's data, or? So
the only thing it's specific to is the workbooks that you've built. So, and actually, or workbooks you might build. It's Tableau. So when you think about what Pulse is, and you saw that metric that's up there, what's happening behind the scenes is this. You build a workbook, and then you'll go into the Pulse world, and you'll say, here's the metric I want to create. In this case, we had appliance sales. Maybe it's, I don't know, I'll just pick something totally random. Number of visitors into a store. We're just tracking that or something like that. So that would be a metric you would create. And then we're just behind the scenes, we are snapshotting that and running statistics and regressions on that against all the dimensions in that workbook, against all the other metrics in that workbook, and seeing if we can see things that say why that particular metric is going up and down. And then we'll tell you about it.
So basically, the workbook is just acting as the data source for Pulse.
The Pulse is doing all the math.
And so you don't have to configure it like we would have had to with Ask Data. It just works basically.
Exactly. You don't have to write in the synonyms. You don't have to do all that. Behind the scenes, there's two things actually happening. One is that we're doing a lot of good math. So we acquired a company called Narrative Science 2 years ago. A lot of really smart folks who have done a lot of stuff around NLP and other data, and they also did a lot of studying how does data move and how do you do that. So anyway, A lot of that team is help building this. The second thing we're doing is we're taking questions people ask, and we're sending that to ChatGPT. We're getting back queries. We don't actually send the data, but then we also create language, like what you saw in Paul's, like, hey, this looks like it's going up by X amount. We will create some of that language leveraging technology from narrative science. It's good. It's kind of like, this is a horrible way of saying it, it's like a 5-year-old speaking. It's kind of choppy. It's like not great. So we send that language also to ChatGPT, and we get back really good written language. So we're also leveraging ChatGPT to make it interactive. So there's math that's just all what Tableau is built, and then there's a language where we're leveraging ChatGPT to make it interactive and allow people to read it, kind of like a news feed. So yeah, the only thing it's specific to is the workbooks that you're building inside your company.
So the insights which you were talking about earlier on the pulse environment. So do you think you can train on medical data, like the number of if there are a lot of tests, like COVID tests, for example. Do you think you can give insights and specific that, hey, these are the number of tests which were more higher compared to these tests or something like that?
So there's two. Yeah, it's interesting. So here's what Pulse can do, and here's what it can't do, and I'll just be specific. So if you were saying the number of negative tests per a population, as an example, and that number was typically around 97% or something, I don't know, 98%, something like that. And then one day it went down to 92%, it would tell you like that.
So we can train on the
So it can train is maybe a strong word. It's trained, yes. And it is training in the sense that it creates a baseline and it understands statistically what is above and below, what is an anomaly. It does more than just a normal distribution. It can do Pareto distributions, other distributions, but basically if you're like 2 or 3 sigma or something like that, that it can tell you. What it can't tell you is if you're like, how many of those are false positives? Well, that's hard because then you have to have a second and a third test that comes back, and then you're analyzing it and you're actually doing the statistical stuff yourself. But it can tell you, hey, something looks funky here. And then what it would tell you then is if you said, well, tell me why, it would then tell you without you having to, you would actually do it yourself, but without that end user having to open up in a spreadsheet or open up the Tableau environment, what is the number one dimension driving that change? Was it a certain testing center? Was it a certain region? Was it a certain day? The hours within a day? It will tell you what part of that set of tests was the outlier, if you will. So this is where you need to look. So you might say, oh, look, this one test center suddenly had a bunch more negative tests, a lot more than normal for the same population. Okay, maybe you had an outbreak in that area, or maybe something went wrong with that test center. Well, you can ask those questions. Was there anything else going on in that test center? Number of people that were the first-time workers is higher there than everyone else. Oh, okay, maybe you have a smoking gun. So it will help you get there to your insight faster.
So we can actually think it of as an interactive chatbot and the visualizations or data analysis.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. And the goal is to engage essentially the people who are currently reading your dashboards, but then keep them engaged. There's nothing worse than you spend a bunch of time creating an amazing dashboard. You get out there, people use it for like a week, and then the usage starts to trail off. It's like, how do we keep them engaged? This is one way we try to help keep them engaged.
One final question I had was on the code editor, the Copilot editor which you were showing. Is it possible that it can learn from the data, for example? Can it learn from it, or do you think it can give us suggestions like, hey, do you think you can, based on this data, you can produce these type of visualizations or something like that? Is that possible?
That's why our jobs are secure.
I was gonna say, that might be a little bit into the future. Now, what it can do is say, I'll give you an example of something it can do. Can you please build me a visualization for revenue by quarter for the top 5 sales reps? we know that that's probably whatever, a column chart in a trellis or something. I don't know what it would be, but Tableau could be able to tell you that, which would be, it's kind of like, that's show me. That's all that literally is. It's just show me coming to work. But what it can't do is like, oh, it's going to learn from all the data how to build some of the visualizations I showed you in Tableau Public. No, we're not. That's just like, that's like science fiction. Yeah, I'm glad. Thank you for coming.
So from online, there was a comment when you were talking about the Einstein Copilot. Gabriel said that it could be neat if the show me section was enhanced with this, or you could click show me and see suggested reports, and then the text prompts to modify the suggested report to be what you want.
So that is in the roadmap, and it's a little bit further out, but one of our goals, like show me is one of our more popular features, but what if show me was in prep? It could actually give you suggestions. Yes? No?
I don't use show me.
Okay, he doesn't use show me. All right.
I think power users above a certain level will not use show me.
So
Prep kind of does that already with that little light bulb.
a little bit, right.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good point, but he just said power users don't use show me as much. And I'd agree with you because you probably already know what you need to do.
Yeah.
But show me could help get folks up to speed a little faster as part of the idea that we would expand beyond show me some of the things you just mentioned, some of those things. And that's part of getting first-time users to get into the system. But it's another example of where even show me has limitations. How does show me work? Well, if you have 3 dimensions and 2 measures, there's like there's only certain types of charts that work for that. And that's what show me does. We don't know which one's going to work best for the data you have. So that takes someone who's an analyst or a mind who's saying, oh, this is the story I want to tell. That's the right visualization. That's not going to work for, that's not what we can do. What we can do is we can suggest which ones to use. So with the concept of taking show me to the next level is part of where we're going. The concept of, show me can get me from where I am today to something that's in public. That's not going to happen.
So maybe in the interest of time, why don't we? There's a few other topics to cover. We're going to do a quick Kahoot.
Yes.
But then Southard's going to stick around, and we can ask more questions. So we'll switch gears and maybe switch back if that works. Okay. So do you mind?
I'm going to close out.
Disconnecting there. Yeah.
Yeah. So that way we won't create that.
There was a couple of things I wanted to do on here. Oh.
The infinite mirror.
Okay.
So it's a good visualization.
I'll come back to the Kahoot. I just want to show these ones really quickly. Make it inside. So. You kind of showed this already, but there's user groups kind of all over the world. There's tons of user groups happening. I went to Japan in the summer. I looked up some guys on Twitter, and I said, I'm coming. And they're like, let us take you out.
This is awesome.
So I went and saw these guys. We had a dinner together with a group from the Japanese tug. Afterwards, next day, I got invited to Salesforce Tower in Tokyo just to go and check it out. It was very, very cool. There's the stickers on my laptop.
That is awesome.
So that was really cool. They have like a very big user group. They do lots of neat stuff. They're doing some international stuff. So this guy, there's a QR code there that you guys can scan and look at. But they were doing like a learn Tableau exercise that they published online, and people could just, that were just starting, you could go. It's kind of like the Work on Wednesday kind of idea, do a couple different visits to learn. They're also doing, if I can find the QR code I made earlier. There's this QR code is Data Noodle. I guess we actually had someone in the Edmonton user group that had a data noodle t-shirt. It's a Japanese thing, so they're trying to collect data for some work that they're doing with visualization. So this is a survey. If you guys can go and like fill out the survey, they would appreciate that. It's just about noodles. It's a survey about noodles. So it's there's that kind of stuff. So if you are traveling, there may be a user group that you can like go in and you know, we're all very friendly, right? So that I wanted to point out there. Upcoming events. So it's like it's gonna be super quick, right? April 29th for Tableau conference, and even before that is Trailblazer DX. Trailblazer DX is the Salesforce developer conference. So it's much more like it's a focused event for people that are doing developers. There will be a lot of content around AI. There'll be a lot of content around like data cloud as part of Trailblazer DX. So you can stream all that stuff live even if you don't go in person. It's good to know what's happening.
Yeah.
So those are the two things I want to point out. And then we're going to do Kahoots. So if get out your phones. People online can participate as well. Desiree, you can still hear me okay, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I will go here and I'll just stop that. You don't need that. And I'm sharing my screen already. Okay. Come on. Where's my other browser? There it is. Okay, so everyone can participate, including people that work for Salesforce, but maybe we won't give you the swag if you win. Just scan the code, put in the pin. Nobody knows the questions ahead of time, so it's all a fair playing level. People online can play as well, and we'll mail. If you win a prize, we'll mail you the prize. So we'll wait until some people can join here.
Loading, but it's a little bit slow.
Okay. There's sound here. I won't worry about the sound. Is anybody else joining? You guys are all getting it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There is not. Okay. Give it 30 more seconds and then we'll kick it off. It's very difficult. This is like a lot of trick questions. And it's in honor of having the Chief Product Officer here. We hope to see you on the podium. Okay. Okay, we are going to start. People can still maybe join. I don't know, but we're going to start. There, last one right in. Okay, so remember with Kahoot, the faster you answer, the more points you get. So even if you get it wrong, just answer quickly. So the first one is an easy one, which is a word cloud, just the first word that comes to mind when you're thinking about Tableau. This is like a test question to warm things up. So type your answer, hit submit. Stop. Everybody gets David. And nothing stood out. Like our word cloud visualization didn't work that good. Okay, so in Tableau desktop, this data source is one of the following: live, an extract, or on a Tableau cloud /server.
Am I supposed to be looking at that picture?
Yeah. This is
Oh,
the picture. Yeah,
sorry.
Oh. Only 2 people got it right. Okay. You guys gotta try harder. Next one. Let's see. Let's see what the scoreboard says. Okay, you're us. Question 3. In Tableau desktop, what's missing from the picture? What card is missing? Oh. The text, label, or detail? It's a trick question too. I'm being very very difficult on this Kahoot. You have to earn your mug and notebook. Oh, 8 people got it right though. That's impressive. John, you get it right. Okay. Let's see. Okay. We're having movement on the board. Question 4. What calculated field function is missing? Sorry about the size. Running median, running in, or running up? Oh. Got it wrong. Click the wrong button. All right. I didn't say, I said it was going to be hard. And you're asking. You're making us look bad. Which date format is missing? So in the picture, which date format is missing? All right. Guess your pick. Okay. No changes in the leaderboard. Tableau prep question. Which flow step is missing? So there's different types of steps you can add. I hit one of them there.
And we had it in one.
And you showed it in your presentation, yeah. So everyone should get it right. Almost everyone. Oh, here we go. Question 7. What does this button do? This is an important button that you have to tell your users about. You don't know. Refresh the data in the view, right? So it tells Tableau to reset its cache and go get fresh data, especially on live connections if it's cached in. Gotta tell users hit that button. When they call you and they say my data is not right, tell them to hit that button. Okay, last question is a bonus question. We're gonna see some changes in the leaderboard. This one is the easy one. If Southard doesn't get it correct within like 3 seconds.
3 seconds.
Or less, we're gonna, yeah.
Do I get time for me?
3 seconds.
Oh, execs. Oh, actually I heard X is what I read. It's Ryan.
So Tableau has a CEO.
Yes.
Tableau didn't have a CEO for a while, and Ryan is the CEO of Tableau. So that was Tableau Conference the first time?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was like he had just been named CEO right before Tableau Conference.
Yes.
Yeah. So separate from Mark Benioff, CEO of Salesforce, there's a Tableau CEO. So that is it. Let's see what happens. 3rd place, Emma. Emma's not here. Online? Okay, one of the online. You're us? Oh, you got dethroned. You got dethroned. All right.
I work there.
All right. So we have prizes for 1st place and 2nd place here. Emma, if you can chat to Desiree and tell her your email and contact information, we will arrange to mail you out your prize.
Okay.
4th place.
4th place.
Maybe we could the prize.
Yes.
That's hard to figure out. View forward. There we go. We can see where it's other.
Last. I was tanking. I was like the New York Giants.
Tableau Trooper.
Who's Tableau Trooper? Online?
Must be online.
Okay, Tableau Trooper, you get a prize too, so let Desiree know who you are, and we'll send you a prize. So Miraz, you get like a prize because you spoke and you did like best in the Kahoot. What do you prefer?
I have one of those, yeah, same, other than,
The water bottle
sure.
or the tumbler?
Is it the one that says data fund on it?
Oh, you're
Is it the one that people take it to different?
It is the Hey Ho Tableau one.
There's one that they take picture everywhere that they go. Trying to see if it's not one.
Which one is that?
This is the Tableau we looked at. I haven't seen that one before. The Hey Ho Tableau. All right.
Thank you.
There you go. And then the other guys, we will send you your prizes.
Awesome.
All right. So that's it for the program. Thanks everyone for attending. And one more slide. One more slide. Sorry. Next meeting, we can't bug you guys is easy in the events platform. So if you haven't already signed up for the user group, follow the link, sign up for the user group, and then it'll notify you when the next meeting is. We will probably try to do it in February 2024, in a few months. Probably here again. Was this place okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Is WeWork still gonna be around back then?
We hope so. We hope so. Yeah, we hope it will still be here. All right, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Can we take a picture?